Hey everyone, I'm 10 Tampa Bay meteorologist Colleen Campbell, and we are your hurricane headquarters. Here's the latest on Hurricane Beryl. So this is a Category 4 storm at this time. This is a historic system because within 48 hours, it went from a tropical depression to a Category 4 storm, something that's unheard of for this time of the year. We have a couple facts here. So it's the earliest storm to form in the Atlantic at this status, Category 3 or stronger, major hurricane, right? It's only the third major Atlantic hurricane in June, and it's the first ever major hurricane east of the Lesser Antilles, and there has never been a Category 4 in June in the Atlantic basin. So think about the different basins we're talking about. We have the Caribbean Sea, then we have the Atlantic. The earliest Category 4 on record was Dennis in July of 2005, so beat out Dennis as that Category 4 status. All right, getting back into the tropical watches and warnings here. So you see the boxes highlighted in that red color: Barbados, St. Vincent, the Grenadine Islands, St. Lucia, all under that hurricane warning. This is crunch time, just hours away from making landfall for this area. Then places like Martinique under that tropical storm warning. Also, Dominican Republic has been added to that tropical storm watch, highlighted in the yellow. Getting the track here, so again, it's going to make that line as a Category 4 storm, could form into a Category 5. The way that the system has been intensifying, that's not out of the question. But right now, the current track does have it as a Category 4 storm. Going towards the Windward Islands, again, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, and then moving beyond that into the Caribbean, moving south of Dominican Republic now. Remember, we just went over those tropical watches and warnings as a Category 3, so still very strong, a major hurricane at this point. Moving south of Cuba, Hispaniola, just moving south of Jamaica, but remember, the impacts can be felt outside of the cone, and the cone, you don't want to just focus on that because the impacts can be felt far and wide outside of that, and the cone can also take a different direction. But so far, so good on the direction. We have been consistent saying that the Windward Islands were the bullseye spot for this, and it remains that way. And I know a lot of concern has been, well, where is this going beyond the Windward Islands and beyond the Caribbean? Right now, and again, this lines up with the track that we have been sticking to. It looks like it wants to move towards the Yucatan Peninsula, and we're going to continue tracking it from there. Let's get into the spaghetti models. The spaghetti models are pretty consistent as well, bringing it into the Caribbean, but then they do, yes, start to spread apart once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. We're days away from that. There's a few things that's steering this, one being an area of high pressure that's going to slide over to the west here, so that can help steer it, absolutely. But keep in mind, during its journey, it's going to weaken in strength. So it's currently a Category 4, but once it goes over some land, we have some higher elevation out here as well. It can lose its strength. It's going over the water. So I don't want anybody to be alarmed. No threat to Florida at this time, but again, we're keeping on top of it. We also have Tropical Depression 3 that formed not too long ago. This was our system that we've had our eye on. It moved past the Yucatan Peninsula right now, and it's just on the eastern edge of Mexico. So getting a track on this, it's a little bit shorter, but it has a potential to move into a tropical storm category just ahead of it moving on shore. There is a tropical storm warning in effect for that reason for a portion of eastern Mexico for Tropical Depression 3. We'll see if it does strengthen into a tropical storm. If it does, the next name on the list would be Chris. We'll go over that in a little bit. Then finally, we have another area of disturbed weather that's out in the Atlantic Basin. This is that wave that we were tracking that came off the coast of Africa, and this is kind of in the wake of Beryl. So it has a 70% chance of development in the next 5 to 7 days. If you're wondering where Beryl is, Beryl's currently here. So here's some positivity that could come from this. Beryl is going to do something called upwelling, where basically that cooler water, a little bit lower down, basically, is getting brought to the surface. So you know these heat engines love that warm water, which is historically warm right now. Water temperatures are currently how they usually are around August, and that's why the storm had no problem intensifying. But this system It may not intensify as fast or as strong as Beryl because it's kind of living in Beryl's shadow. All right, leaving you with some names here. So we know that we had Alberto in the beginning of the season. Beryl, currently a Category 4. Chris, if we get that system that's in the southwestern Gulf right now to move from a tropical depression to tropical storm, it will earn the name of Chris. If that system doesn't do it, well, then we have the one that we just looked at in the Atlantic Basin. Of course, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to us here at 10 Tampa Bay, and we are more than willing to answer them. That's all we have for now. We'll keep you posted.